As Vermouth's companion, how could I forget the appearance of your soul? It looks like you also remember me. It's been a long time since I last heard Wynid's call. I was curious to see which of Vermouth's descendants had been chosen to wield it, but then I felt a familiar soul. How could this be? For someone to be reincarnated with their old memories, and as Vermouth's descendant at that, and it's Hamel of all people.
Why didn't Vermouth kill the remaining demon kings? Tell me, Tempest, didn't you accompany them on the rest of their journey through the Devil Dawn? Why are the Demon King of Incarceration and the Demon King of Destruction still alive after 300 years?
I don't know why Vermouth made that decision. The only thing I know is that, in the decisive battle with the Demon King of Incarceration, Vermouth sheathed his sword.
What?
I don't know exactly what happened at that moment. Their fight at that time was fierce, but ultimately futile. Ultimately, only Vermouth and the Demon King of Incarceration were left standing. At the final moment, Vermouth put down his sword and refused to kill the Demon King of Incarceration.
Don't bullshit me. Why did they make such an oath? Why, instead of killing the Demon King of Incarceration?
I don't know anything about that oath or why Vermouth made such a decision.
So what do you know, you bastard?
Only those who were there know what kind of oath was made. I could no longer intervene in that situation from the moment that Vermouth put away his sword.
Are you asking me to dig up Vermouth's corpse and ask him?
There's no more time. With your inadequate mana, it would be impossible for you to have summoned me. I forcibly opened the door to come here, so now I have to close it.
Answer me before you go.
Next time, when you have enough strength, then let's meet again, sometime when you are stronger.
The wind finally vanished, and Eugene passed out with a nosebleed. When Eugene woke back up, it was in the bed he had been using for the past few days. All his mana had been sucked dry just by opening the door to the spirit world. From there, Tempest had taken over and crossed over into the physical world for a short time under his own power. Spirits remembered people by their souls, so Tempest had managed to recognize the one wielding Wyniad, Eugene, as Hamel. After accepting that he had been reincarnated, Eugene hadn't been able to shake off a few lingering, unpleasant concerns. Was he really Hamel? What if he wasn't reincarnated and was just someone who had Hamel's memories implanted into him? Eugene is now certain that he is the Hamel from 300 years ago.
Master Eugene, are you okay?
I'm fine. How long was I out?
About half a day. The Patriarch and Master Keon have been staying in the annex, waiting for you to regain consciousness. I will bring them right away.
I've already heard part of the story. I was told that after you drew Wynid, a large breeze suddenly started blowing. Was this because you summoned a spirit?
There was no point in divulging the whole story, but he had to say something. There were too many eyes who had seen Tempest's descent, and it was impossible for any other spirit to be able to provoke such a storm through their arrival on this plane.
The Wind Spirit King descended from the spirit world.
What?
He said that it had been a long time since he'd heard a summon, so he wanted to see who it was.
What kind of... Not a single ancestor had managed to successfully summon the Wind Spirit King.
He said that I didn't have enough strength yet, and that next time, when I had enough power, he was looking forward to seeing me again someday. Then he returned to the spirit world.
Eugene, you really are one surprising child. I heard about what happened at the Vein of Mana from Kion. In less than an hour, you were able to sense mana and make a core using the White Flame formula. All that would have been shocking enough, but for you to attract the Wind Spirit King's attention as well. After a few days' rest, Kion will resume your lessons. Initially, we were planning to go on another training trip once the bloodline continuation was over, but now, it looks like that will be impossible. I think that we will need to prioritize cultivating your talents instead of our own training.
I don't want to take up too much of Patriarch and Sir Kion's time.
Don't think of it like that. After all, I'm the one who really wants to guide you personally. But of course, I'll be teaching Sienna and Ciel right alongside you. And the Patriarch will also be helping with our lessons.
I expect it will be a good stimulus to have Eugene train alongside those two after hearing that Eugene had returned from the Vein of Mana with impressive results after spending less than a day there. Sienna and Ciel had immediately headed to the gymnasium and started their own training.
Regarding Eugene, they told me that he's already a first star in the White Flame formula.
I know.
It took us forever to reach the White Flame formula's first star?
It wasn't forever. Since it took us around a month, that means only a handful of our ancestors in the direct line were as fast as us.
But Eugene didn't even take a day to reach the first star. Doesn't that mean he's the fastest in history?
A sylph, a lesser spirit of the wind. With Eugene's small amount of mana, it was normal for him to have summoned a sylph, just in case Eugene tried to mentally ask the sylph.
Hey, have you heard anything from your king?
However, there was no reply. It seemed that it was impossible to converse with a spirit that had such low intelligence.
Pass this message on to Tempest. If you were lying to me, I'll kill you.
But the sylph still didn't reply. However, it appeared to sense that its king had been insulted, as it sent a gust of wind to ruffle Eugene's hair before returning to the spirit world. With only Hamel having perished, Vermouth and the other four had returned from the Devil Dome of Helmuth after making some kind of mysterious promise. However, the only ones who knew the details of this promise were Vermouth and the remaining Demon Kings. What was in that oath? That was what bothered Eugene the most. For the Demon Kings who lived to cause the world suffering, what on earth could have made them change their minds and swear to uphold the peace? Who exactly was the one who proposed such an oath in the first place? What were the contents of the oath? I need to find some time to go to Helmuth. Not just Helmuth, Aroth, Eurus, and the Ruhr. It will be impossible to go to such land with a child's body. But someday... Time sure flew quickly. Eugene is now 17 years old, 4 years since his adoption into the main family.
This really is a great body.
After initiating his mana when he was 13, Eugene trained his mana every morning without skipping a single day. And today, Eugene had finally reached the 3rd star in the White Flame formula.
But it's still not enough. I need to learn everything. I am going to Aroth and learn magic.
What kind of bullshit is that?
This morning, I was just training in the White Flame formula like I usually do.
Could it be, did you really?
Cayenne's eyes started trembling as he got a bad feeling. Eugene smiled as he saw Cayenne getting flustered like this.
And then this happened.
The mana that was usually spread throughout his body gathered near his heart. Once there, the 3 stars at his core began to resonate with each other. Mana, in the form of pure white light, engulfed Eugene's entire body. Cyan stared at this sight with wide eyes.
What the fuck? How is this possible?
Cyan was so ashamed. Until now, Cyan's progress had remained stalled at the 2nd star, but Eugene, who had initiated his mana 7 years later than Cyan, had already reached the 3rd star of the White Flame formula.
Of course, it's possible, because I'm a genius.
Well, I want to kill you.
Brothers shouldn't say such things to each other.
Every morning you beat me up so badly that it feels like I'm going to croak.
Aren't you the one who keeps asking for a spar every morning? If you don't want to get beaten up, let's just stop. It doesn't matter to me.
Challenging Eugene to a spar every morning was Cian's own way of dealing with the frustration of his rivalry with Eugene.
Why on earth do you want to learn magic all of a sudden? Have you forgotten about what happened to Iode? He went off to learn magic, but he couldn't be Lobarian's disciple. And now he's just being treated like a fool in Aroth.
Bastard. How dare you say such a thing about your older brother?
Did I say anything that wasn't true? Instead of pointlessly heading to Aroth to learn magic, just stay here at the main estate where it's comfortable. If you do go to Aroth, Ciel will be sad.
Really? Are we talking about the same Ciel, the one that stopped talking to me and has since been training alone? As if, do you really think I'll change my mind just because Ciel will be sad?
You heartless bastard. Where are you going?
To meet with the Patriarch. I should tell him I reached 3 stars, and to get his permission too.
What the hell is with this bullshit about him wanting to learn magic now?
Are you serious when you say this?
Yes, sir. I want to learn magic.
But why? No one from our family's entire line was able to reach the 3rd star of the White Flame formula at your age. If you continue to work as hard as you have been, you might be able to rise to the 4th star before you become an adult.
Today, as I was advancing to the 3rd star, I realized something. If I continue to stay at the main estate and keep practicing as I have been, I don't believe that I will continue to show the same amount of growth. I want to learn much more, especially about magic. Although I don't yet know if I have any great talent for magic, I believe that by venturing into magic, I'll be able to view mana from a different perspective than the one I've had until now. I am sure that all of this won't be in vain. Please, Patriarch.
Raise your head. How can I pour cold water on your burning desire to learn and grow? Eugene, I understand what you're trying to say. So if you really want to learn magic, then I'll just have to give you my permission to learn. Eugene, just promise me one thing. Do not get involved with black magic.
In Aroth, there was a black tower of magic where black wizards gathered. There weren't any disturbing rumors that matched their sinister reputation, and unlike in the distant past, the public opinion of them wasn't too bad. However, the Lionheart clan had been founded by the Great Vermouth. Although some of the collateral branches had chosen to specialize in magic, black magic was still forbidden to the clan as an unwritten rule. Dark mages, I remember very well what they have done 300 years ago.
You don't need to worry about this. I also despise black magic.
Finishing his conversation with Gilead, as he walked back down the hallway, he heard a knocking sound coming from a tightly locked door.
I need to talk to you.
You can come here if you want to talk.
No, I smell sweaty from training. Are you really going to Aroth?
Did Sienna tell you that?
Mm-hmm. He also told me that you've reached the 3rd star of the White Flame formula. Why are you even going?
Because I want to learn magic.
Isn't your spirit magic enough? You don't really need to go to Aroth. You can just invite a wizard from the capital to be your teacher. Also, while you aren't here, my brother and I might be able to catch up to your skill level.
If that happens, that's actually good for me. It will be more fun sparring with you two. Although it has been quite a while since I sparred with you.
If I start sparring with you from now on, will you stay here instead of going to Aroth?
No, I will still be going.
Bastard. How long will you be gone?
Won't know until I get there, but probably it will be few years.
Why do you want to stay for so long? Moving out will be a pain, and what will you do about Mr. Gerhard?
My father will be just fine without me. He had lost a lot of weight. It was all thanks to his regular hunting trips with the collateral patriarchs.
Uncle Gion will be lonely.
That might be true.
And what about my brother? He will be lonely if you're not around. Earlier, while he was talking to me, he even secretly confessed that he didn't want you to go.
Like I said, I'm still going.
Are you really going to leave? Bastard. I would also prefer it if you didn't go.
While you're there, don't hang around with naughty kids and do not neglect your lessons.
Even when I'm not here, don't neglect your exercise either.
Eugene was now taller than Gerhard. Gerhard smiled happily while looking up at his son, who had grown so mature.
Take care of yourself.
The next day, everyone was there to see Eugene off as he headed to the warp gate on the outskirts of the estate's forest. Although Gilead had offered him an escort, Eugene had vehemently refused. After all, wouldn't it feel awkward being followed around everywhere by armed guards?
I'm skilled enough to take care of myself.
Eugene had unbelievable levels of skills and experience for someone his age. On top of that, since he had also reached the 3rd star of the White Flame formula, they couldn't treat him like a child any longer. Unlike Iode, Gerhard, who had been smiling happily the day before, burst into tears at the sight of Eugene leaving.
Geez, I told you to stop crying. Do you really think I won't go just because you keep crying? Can't you just send your son off with a smile?
Finally, Gerhard stopped crying and put on a smile. Accompanied by his father's tearful smile and the farewells from the members of the main family, Eugene departed for the warp gate. The capital of the magic kingdom of Aroth was called the Pentagon. The 5 towers of magic formed the corners of a pentagon with the royal palace at its center. Among the various kingdoms, Aroth was the only one to have its warp gates located in the sky.
Isn't it amazing? This view could even be said to be one of Aroth's cultural assets. There are as many as 15 floating stations all around the Pentagon, and all of them were created by the wise Sienna.
Wow. Are those carriages that Lady Sienna came up with?
Of course they are, but there's no need to worry too much. Although they were constructed using magical techniques from hundreds of years ago, they have been continuously improved and repaired, so the annual rate of accidents is very low.
But that meant there wasn't a 0 chance of accidents.
The tourist attractions in the Pentagon are...
Just one moment. For now, I would like to visit the mansion that belonged to the wise Sienna.
That's an excellent choice. If you visit the Pentagon, the 3 things that you absolutely need to see are the wise Sienna's mansion, the towers of magic, and the night view from the floating stations. 300 years ago, after returning from the Devildom of Helmuth, Lady Sienna was the youngest person in Aroth's history to rise to the position of a Tower Master. Lady Sienna left a message in this mansion saying that she was going to retire and then disappeared.
Isn't it still a mystery where Lady Sienna went after leaving that message?
Yes, that's right. Lady Sienna thoroughly erased all of her traces. Many of Aroth's wizards, and even Lady Sienna's own disciples, attempted to follow her tracks, but no one has been able to find out where Lady Sienna went to. The worst part, the day Lady Sienna disappeared also happened to be her birthday. This might just be my opinion, but I believe that Lady Sienna may have gone to the Devildom.
Why do you believe that?
200 years ago marked 100-year anniversary of Lady Sienna's return from the Devildom of Helmuth, leaving behind the body of her comrade, the stupid Hamel. On the eve of her birthday, Lady Sienna may have recalled the fate of her long-dead comrade, and she wanted to avenge Hamel. It may have been such a desire that made Lady Sienna leave. You should have heard about this as well, right, Sir Eugene? It seems that Hamel had a crush on Lady Sienna. Before he died, Hamel confessed his love for Lady Sienna.
Stop your fucking bullshit.
Huh?
No. That was...
It looks like Sir Eugene is very against Hamel's romance with Lady Sienna.
Well, yes.
There are other theories about where she went. Lady Sienna hated both black magic and the demon folk, and until she went missing, she continued to oppose the erection of the Black Tower of Magic. It had been 200 years since the Black Tower of Magic had been raised in Aroth. This meant it was built shortly after the wise Sienna's disappearance. Some have argued that the radical black wizards who were promoting the construction of the Black Tower of Magic may have assassinated Lady Sienna.
But there is no way any black wizard could assassinate Lady Sienna.
Yep, that's what I think as well. Even the wizards who made up the Black Tower of Magic 200 years ago stubbornly denied this assassination theory.
Black wizards might not be able to assassinate Sienna, but what about the Demon Kings? Helmuth's 2 remaining Demon Kings had poured enormous amounts of support to construct the Black Tower of Magic. So from the perspective of the Demon Kings, Sienna, who continued to oppose the construction of the Black Tower of Magic, must have been a thorn in their eyes, so much so that they even wished to kill her. As the aerial carriage landed on the ground, Eugene hopped off the carriage and immediately looked towards Sienna's mansion. Sienna, are you really dead?
Please let me pass this exam so that I can enter a Tower of Magic.
This will be my 11th time failing. Please at least let me get to the interview stage.
The recruitment exams for the Towers of Magic, which were held twice a year, were reputed to be a truly brutal competition. Across all 5 towers, there were thousands of wizards taking the exam, but only a few dozen wizards at most would pass the exam and be accepted.
You don't need to pay them any attention. They won't be able to get into the mansion anyway since they don't have the money for it.
Is that so?
The mansion's gate fee alone costs hundreds of thousands of sales, and that's just the cost to see the garden. If you want to look inside the mansion, you need to pay several times that amount.
Why is the price so high?
Because there are still people who are willing to go inside, even if they have to pay such a price. There's a superstition that if you pray for help in passing your exam at the portrait of Sienna that's hanging in the mansion's main hall, you will definitely pass the recruitment exam for the Tower of Magic that you plan on entering.
So Eugene Lionheart, your identity has been confirmed.
Please enjoy the tour.
Now then, let's take a look at how that chick lived.
Sienna's mansion was huge. It was the home that she had lived in for over 100 years.
Hey, what are you going to do after all this?
Why are you asking that all of a sudden?
I'm just curious. Since we're going through all this shit in a hellish place like this when we're meant to be enjoying the bloom of our youths, shouldn't we at least get to enjoy some happiness once all this is over?
I've got no idea. Never given it any thought.
Milan, that idiot says he wants to become a king. Doesn't that sound hilarious?
Crazy bastard. What a load of bullshit. Why on earth does he want to become a king?
Hey, leave him alone. It's what he wants to do. Everyone has the right to dream.
Have you been drinking? Everyone has the right to dream. See this? I'm getting goosebumps from the cringe.
Scumbag. Even though I was trying to be sincere.
Then what do you plan on doing once this is over? Do you want to become a queen like Malon?
Are you crazy? Why would I choose to do something so boring? For me, I'd like to live a normal life, just like everybody else. I want to get married, have children, live comfortably, and eventually become a grandmother.
She should have just gotten married, had children, and grown old peacefully surrounded by her grandchildren. So why did Sienna live all by herself for over 100 years? Unconsciously, Eugene stretched his hand out towards Sienna's portrait.
You're not allowed to touch the portrait.
This motherfucker, just when I was feeling a bit emotional, I didn't come here to stare at a portrait.
Eugene was here to see if Sienna had left any clues behind. According to his calculations, Eugene believed that it was definitely Sienna who had placed his necklace in the Treasure Vault. There should be something that she left behind.
You're not allowed to touch the books.
I am not touching it.
What are the odds that the necklace just happened to be in the treasury, and I just happened to stumble across it once I entered? Tempest had recognized that Eugene used to be Hamel with only a glance. What if the magic that made use of this fact was cast on the necklace as it lay in the treasure vault? Then wouldn't it make sense for the necklace to go undiscovered by anyone for hundreds of years, only to reappear in response to Hamel's soul? If the one who had planned for the reincarnation was Sienna, then she should have left some other clues behind. But where? Eugene searched every room in the inn and couldn't find anything that Sienna left behind for him. So I guess I'll just have to do things my way. If there was something that you wanted me to do, you should have at least found a way to tell me properly. If you don't tell me anything, then how the hell am I supposed to know what you want me to do?
Hey Sienna, come find me. If you're alive, that is.
It looks like you really enjoyed the tour.
The guide, who had been left waiting outside for him till sunset.
Here's a tip for making you wait.
Thank you so much. Where would you like to go now? This is a popular tourist attraction, so there are plenty of great restaurants nearby.
I'm fine with not going to a restaurant, so let's head straight to the Red Tower of Magic. Once we arrive there, your work is over for today. Let me ask you something. It's about Iode. He's my elder brother, but have you heard of him?
Among the younger generation of wizards in the Pentagon, there are only a few who don't know that name.
There's no need to be nervous. I just brought it up since we're heading to the Red Tower, and we're indebted to them for taking care of him. My older brother has been staying with them ever since he arrived 4 years ago. Just as I was being adopted into the household, Iode left the main estate and headed to Aroth. Thanks to that, I haven't been able to meet with my older brother, Iode. I need to learn a bit more about my brother, just so that I don't make a mistake when we meet. Of course, I won't feel offended by your words, nor will I punish you for any slander. I won't reveal the source of my information to the main family, especially not to my brother. I can swear all this on my family name. So have you heard any rumors concerning my older brother?
Well, I also don't know much about him, but about Sir Iode, I've heard that he leaves the Tower of Magic every night to indulge himself in certain forms of pleasure.
Pleasure? Iode was 2 years older than me, so he is 19 now. By pleasure, do you mean he indulges in alcohol and women? If it's those sorts of things, isn't that rather normal for someone his age?
No. It's not that kind of pleasure. This really is just a rumor, but...
What is...
A succubus.
The guide finally revealed, blushing in embarrassment.
Ah, a succubus. That crazy bastard. This isn't even fucking Helmuth, so why are there succubi here?
Please calm down. This might not be Helmuth, but there's still the Black Tower of Magic, remember? Apart from the human black wizards, there are quite a lot of demon folk living in the tower as well.
So that means that bastard, Iode, no, I mean my big brother, has been playing around with a succubus from the Black Tower of Magic.
To put it bluntly, he is not playing around with them. He's just being pleasured by them. Aroth has a certain street where illegal gatherings and those sorts of shops operate in the open. It's a place purposely left unsupervised as a form of necessary evil. While that street is most famous for its black market, there are also a few shady shops that have hired succubi as their hostesses. I've heard that Sir Iode visits those types of shops regularly.
In human terms, they were no different from street corner whores.
Do you know where that street is?
It's called Bolero Street. Those shops don't open every day, so the street only shows its true, corrupted appearance once a month, on the night of the full moon.
He had no desire to get all friendly with Iode upon coming to Aroth, and basically ignore his step-sibling while focusing on his own affairs. Eugene just couldn't accept that a descendant of Vermouth was offering his life force to a petty demon. How dare he give in to scumbags like those? Eugene obviously hated the Demon Kings, but he also despised the demon folk.
So Eugene, would you please keep the fact that I shared this story with you a secret?
Don't worry about it. I'm not going to say anything to anyone, especially not to that fucking big brother of mine.
He had only heard rumors, and they were pretty unreliable rumors at that. If he slapped the shit out of Iode just because of some idle tales, Eugene would be the one in the wrong. So he needed to hold back his urge for violence until he had found some clear evidence. During the night of the full moon, it's called Bolero Street.